Hi everybody, my name is Dave with Realty. Today we're with Derek Stevens, who is a financial planner. And today we're not going to talk about real estate, we're not going to talk about financial planning. We're going to talk about something he's really passionate about, and that's youth sports. So, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
Is that kind of summarize what we want to talk about today?
In youth sports, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is the amount of money and effort you're putting in worth what the result you get?
First question is, why, as a parent, should I get my kid involved in youth sports?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's different for everyone, but for the most part, I think it first and foremost is to have fun. But then you get into the stuff that teaches, teamwork, leadership, all that stuff that really, team sports, or actually sports in general, youth sports, start to teach, and you have fun doing it.
So we were talking earlier, you said that in some cases, parents are making decisions for kids at 8 years old that they want to get involved in the youth sports and get involved in these leagues that go year round.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
People they've perpetuated the idea that that sports, unless you're playing and concentrating 24/7, 12 months out of the year, 365, that you're not going to make anything out of it. You're not going to do anything. And it's been proven that multi-sport athletes end up being more well-rounded than anyone. Mm-hmm. And at a high level, I think there's been great names like Wayne Gretzky who have said, I believe in kids having an off season. And so what ends up happening is kids make a decision at 8 years old. Parents make a decision at 8 years old that the kid needs to go to these camps, and then we should probably just focus on one sport to get the most out of it. And then when the kid gets really good and it's really competitive years later, they don't want to play anymore. Mm-hmm. You gotta have an off season.
Yeah.
Other sports that you play, you can always pick up on things. Mm-hmm. I grew up playing hockey, soccer, and baseball. I know that eye-hand coordination in baseball helped me in hockey. You're talking about footwork in soccer, helps you in hockey, and vice versa. So all of those things, I play a key role, and then it allows the kid to actually expand, what do they want to do,
Yeah. Do you think that some of these sports leagues are hurting maybe high school football? For example, maybe parents decide not to have their kids play high school football because they're getting them in these camps. Has it had an impact on local sports and the local high school? Sometimes high school sports are looked at as not as competitive, and so then these other teams, and listen, there's no knock against any of these other competitive teams. I think they're great for the right people, the right time, the right place. But some of the sports, including hockey, will tell you don't play high school hockey. It's not competitive. You're not going to get much out of it. Well, I'll tell you what they will get. They're going to get to play in front of their friends. Mm-hmm. And if they're good enough to go on and play somewhere else in college, how many of those people know them? If you play professional, nobody. So the last real time you're going to get to play in front of your friends and your family is high school. Mm-hmm. So why would you rob someone of that? Yeah. How cool is it on Monday when you had the game-winning touchdown to walk through the halls and everybody's like, "You're the man, yeah, what's up?" Yeah. Or you win a state championship in any sport, and that, I think what ends up happening is we're robbing these kids of that, and so there's a way to make it work if all we do is focus on what's best for the kids. Sometimes we focus on, what's best for my program, what's best for me as a coach, for the parent,
what's best for the parent, right? And so if we say, what's best for the kid? Where are they gonna have the most fun? Mm-hmm. Playing multiple teams, high school and their other one, and maybe taking a step back from the other one for a little bit.
Approximately what percentage will make it just into college, and then out of those, how many will get a scholarship to play sports at college?
it's probably, I have to look at the numbers again, 1%, maybe less than 1% will get a scholarship. I mean, you have to think about it, how many schools have programs, but even in basketball, there's only 12 spots on a college team. Multiply that times how many kids have, and not all of them give scholarships. There's options to save money for college, and you know, from the risk,
right?
to say, well, this is my college plan for my kid. It's just, I think you're setting yourself up for some false expectations.
Can you give us an idea of costs? So some of these leagues that go year round, what kind of costs are involved for the parent? And not just for the league itself, but of course there's travel. You know, there's, you know, you got to get there, hotel, food, expenses. What kind of expenses are we talking about?
I mean, it's pretty crazy. It can, I mean, I would say on average, at least in the hockey world, you're looking at like $5,000 a year.
Wow.
Per kid. But that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. These kids aren't old enough to go by themselves. The parents got to go. So now you're adding hotel costs, you're adding, you know, food and everything like that. It gets costly very quick, right?
Yeah.
I mean, $10,000, right? So you say, oh, I spent $10,000. That's $833 a month. That's a lot of dough.
Yeah.
And I think that ends up becoming more pressurized as you get older. Because like you multiply that, let's say a kid starts at 10 years old and it's $10,000 or $5,000 a year for the next 5 years. Now they're 15. So you put $25,000. What if your kid says, I don't want to play anymore? Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? And I think, you know, I think that you have to be okay with it at one point. Your son or daughter saying, I don't know if I'd love to do this anymore.
That would be tough, though, to make a decision for an 8-year-old to go into sports year-round, invest average of $5,000 a year. Now they're 15 years old, and they say, Mom, Dad, I don't want to play hockey anymore. I don't want to play football. I don't want to go to camps. I don't want to do this. That would be a tough conversation, because as a parent, it's like, you know what, you're gonna do this because I've invested all this time and money in you. But that would really be a tough conversation. I think at 8 years old, you're really setting the kid up for failure. Really, is all you're doing, and set yourself up for failure if they decide they don't want to do it.
Right. What if they're not as good as they were at 8? I mean, a lot of growth happens between 8 and 15,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
You know, and if I was saying size doesn't matter in sports, like how if you're 5'5" and you're trying to get a basketball scholarship, probably a little tougher, right? And so you kind of don't know where you fall in those areas, and so it's too much pressure to put on, you know, a kid that young.
What we're going to do is we're going to continue the series. This is series 1 of, what's the tagline?
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is it? So what we're going to do is we want you to post your comments if you have questions. If you agree, if you disagree, we want to hear from you. And so the next time Derek and I get together, we're going to talk and incorporate some of your comments and concerns into our next video. I'm Dave with Realty. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.